Hey guys, I have a very special episode of the Music is Win podcast today. I'll be interviewing and chatting with and playing some guitar with Paul Reed Smith, that guy who has his name on the headstock of those guitars that I really like to play. We talked about a lot of awesome stuff, from Paul's interest in cooking to his guitar influences, his new line of PRS SE models, how he approaches music theory, and a whole bunch more that you've never heard out of Paul. I really encourage you to listen to the entire episode to truly get all of the awesome nuggets out of this thing. And of course, I want to thank the sponsor of the Music is Win podcast, AudioBlocks, longtime friends of mine with over 100,000 studio quality sound clips, loops, effects, and more. So head on over to audioblocks.com/musiciswin. That's AudioBlocks, AudioBlocks.com/musiciswin to sign up for your free 7-day trial. And you can get all the stock audio you can imagine. And now, without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Paul Reed Smith. Welcome to the first interview I've ever had on my very young podcast, The Music is Win podcast, Paul.
First interview on a podcast ever? That's not true, is it?
This is the first of my podcast to do an interview. And we're doing
congratulations.
it, full disclosure for everybody, we're actually appearing to be face-to-face on Skype, but we're filming each other, and we're actually just on the phone. So this is going to be an interesting... Like, when you play something on the guitar, I can't actually see you playing it. And same goes for me.
Are we in tune?
Let's find out.
I think we are, yeah. Good. We're in tune.
We're in tune.
Good.
How about this?
That was it. All right, I'm on.
Has there ever been a faceless jam session?
Yes.
It's happening right now.
As a very famous musician said, when's the last time we played together? Oh, yeah, tonight.
Cool, man. Well, again, Paul, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your schedule to chat with me today. Do you remember the first time we met?
Are you talking about all those jokes?
Yeah, that was the one.
I remember which one did your crew like the best? Which of those jokes?
I think the one that hit home was the one about the bass player. You throw him his bass amplifier when he's
when you throw a drowning bass player his SVT top. Yeah,
that one was cruel and savage, and also
no, it wasn't. What does the guy with the IQ of 68 say to the guy with the IQ of 72? Oh, really? What kind of bass do you play?
Oh, okay. I don't think
if you
told
want to
that
go
one.
Cruel, that's cruel.
This is a.
What do you call people who hang out with musicians? Drummers.
Oh, man. So, Paul, I want to ask you, since you are taking some time out of your schedule, as a musician, I've found at least that we don't really have normal day-to-day activities, and I imagine your day is different one day to the next. But is there anything that you do every day, would you say, regarding music and guitars?
So, yesterday was a very unusual day because I got to go see Jimi Herring and John McLaughlin play from the stage. And John was at the top of his game and Jimmy was at the top of his game, and that's an unusual day for anybody. I took one of our employees who wanted to go, Jeff Meralda, who does quality control here, and he got to stand on the stage and watch this whole thing, which he was just like counting the moments, you know. That's not a usual day. What is a usual day? Get here at 7, go through my paperwork, figure out what I've got to do, try to tend to the emergencies, try to tend to the long-term stuff. There are sheets on my desk about the exact specs for products that are going forward. There's stuff on my desk having to do with what's going on with R&D, what's going on with the management of the company. There's schedules for things like this. I do not have a normal day, except I've got this place in my heart, and I've got the industry in my bones, and I want to do the right thing on a regular basis and make sure that my commitment to the people here and our customers is kept, which is I'm going to try to be fair to everybody here, and I'm going to try to make sure that the customers get a guitar that they can play in the studio or live right out of the box without having to take it to a repair place. That's a consistent theme. And I try to take as good care of my family as possible. That is, and I'm cooking more because my wife now has a new business. So,
what's your favorite dish you've cooked lately?
probably a bucatini pesto that I made from scratch.
Bucatini pesto. I know what pesto is. I don't know what's the first word mean.
Bucatini is really big pasta with a little teeny hole down the middle of it. It's the largest diameter pasta and a round pasta that you can get that I'm aware of.
Oh.
It's not like rotini or, panna pasta, but it's a big, long spaghetti-like thing that's huge.
Is it like a manicotti?
It's like, imagine a regular thin spaghetti 4 times the diameter.
Okay. I'm going to have to check. Once I figure out how to spell it, I'll Google it. So
don't ask me how to spell it.
So you had spoken about a little earlier about you just want to put a guitar in somebody's hand and not have them avoid going to a repair shop. I did a little digging on some videos with you, and a theme that I noticed, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you were kind of the repair guy before you were a guitar builder. Is that accurate?
Both, yeah, both.
Both, okay.
So I make a guitar a month and I do repairs. It was fascinating in the old shop that I would have no repairs when I had a guitar to make, and I'd have lots of repairs when there were no guitars to make. It was almost like it was looked after by, whatever entities are around you can't see. It was a lot of synchronicity going on.
Did the two kind of work hand in hand when you were repairing? Did that give you ideas for creating
yes.
guitars? And
yeah, if you work on a bass and the truss rods don't work, and that you didn't make, it makes you want to make the truss rod in your bass work.
Yeah.
If the frets cut you when you go up and down with your hand, you want to make sure that doesn't happen with a guitar that you make. If somebody didn't glue the frets in, which happens a lot, and you're leveling the frets and they're moving while you're leveling them, you want to glue the frets in so that doesn't happen. Of course, repair work teaches you so much about how to make a good guitar. There's no question about it. I mean, there were guitars in the 80s that if you didn't take the Floyd Rose nut off them, you couldn't adjust the truss rod. You couldn't get to the truss rod adjusting nut.
Sort of a related topic. What's the first thing that you play when you have a finished guitar, when you pick up a guitar in the factory or in a store? Do you have a go-to?
I'll do it right now.
Let's do it.
Works, good guitar, ship it.
First thing that I play, let's see if you can guess, since again, we're appearing to see each other, but we're actually over the phone. Let's see if you can guess this chord.
That's the beginning of a lot of songs. That's not fair.
Oh no, it's not a song. What's the chord?
Big D chord, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's it. So that actually worked out exactly how I wanted it to, because I do education, so I'm always interested to hear how people use their ear training. And what you did, it sounded like you were searching up the neck to find the root note.
Yeah.
That you'd be surprised how many people try and just play a chord and play all their different chords before searching up that. up that E string. And I just thought it's really interesting because some people will, like I said, find a chord. Others will search through. One of the most popular questions that I get is, how do I hear what a chord is? And
So
you
let
just
me tell
demonstrated
you what
it
I
right
heard.
there.
What I heard was 1s and 5s, okay?
Yep.
You didn't put a 2-note in, which would be.
And you're talking
You
intervals.
didn't put a 3-note in, which would be. You didn't put a minor in. You didn't put a 7 in. All I heard was, which would be C, B flat, G, F sharp. So you were playing 1s and 5s. I just needed to find the 1, and then the 5 was sitting there for the taking.
I like that. I like that approach. So when you say 1s and 5s, you're obviously talking about intervals.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my God, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, flat 3, flat 5, flat 6, major 7th, sharp 1. Oh shit.
Sharp
Oops.
1.
I can say that in the podcast, right?
Yes, of course. Anything you want, man.
Well, did you like the sharp 1? That's just nasty.
That's my favorite interval there. Sharp 1.
Let's do this.
Okay.
That's your favorite? That's terrible.
You know what? Have you heard of that guy Brian Ewald?
Never heard of him. Don't like him.
Yeah. Well,
look, Brian's our demonstrator. Why would you ask me if the guy that when I had to go play with a band in town, I would go invade his gig so I get my hands warmed up? Why would you ask me if I know my friend? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Is that part of podcasting?
I think it's just a bad joke.
Well, it was funny over there, huh?
Yeah. People over here. So the reason I bring up Brian is because what we were just doing, that sharp 1, that interval, he actually appeared in a video at GitCon on my channel, and he was demonstrating how he can actually make that sound good using it in passing. And that video, because of Brian, I think has like 250,000 views at this point and climbing. So the sharp 1
well,
actually...
let me try.
It actually came in handy for once.
So let me try. I just did it.
I know. There it was.
I got away with it. I like major 7th better. Or flat 5. Never mind, I'll shut up now.
Well, I like that idea that you do with the major 7, and I actually like replacing, so bending from the major 7 to the root. So you hit the root, and then you hit the major 7 right away and bend back up to that root. Something like this.
All right, I got it.
That's it.
So this is a internet jam session.
I know. This is
Actually, that felt more like a guitar lesson to me. I like that. Guitar Player did a thing once where they advertised the 100 best ways to get a tone. And my friend went nuts. Ralph Perucci went nuts. He goes, Paul, I'm going to kill him. I said, what's wrong? He said, they forgot to say take a lesson.
Oh, that's like a Zen, like a intangible way to get it.
So did you ever see Whole Lotta Love? He's stretching the note. Yep.
Paul, I actually noticed this about your guitar playing. I was watching some of your interviews on YouTube. Your solo guitar playing, it seems like it's pretty dynamic. As far as like, I'm finding that I find myself leaning in sometimes when I'm watching you to hear what you're gonna play next. So I was just wondering, like, who are some of your influences as a guitar player? You mentioned John McLaughlin.
Well, I'll imitate some people. How's that?
Okay.
So Carlos would be. Or. Or the Allman Brothers would be. By the way, I'm not doing it with distortion. You should be able to make it sound right without distortion, right? Or Richie Blackmore would be.
I like that.
Or, you know, Jeff Beck could go. I don't know how these people couldn't be influences, right? Or
For sure.
Even. Most people don't play with their hands, but he played it with his hands. All this stuff is just fascinating to me. My favorite was ZZ Top,
Right.
or God, there were so many good bands, just so many bands that had a sound that came from their hands and the way they played it. I just loved it all. I mean, Hendrix, it was all this stuff that he played. Just the beginning of The Wind Cries Mary is stunning.
Well, Wind Cries Mary is actually, when we were talking about first thing we play when we pick up a guitar, that actually might be the first song that I go to. Just that solo part too, I remember was one of the first things that I learned to play with my fingers. And I don't think he actually plays it with his fingers, but just the little flourishes. That little line right there, just
very, very melodic. The whole tune was recorded in 20 minutes. There's a new book out about how he recorded it.
the song was?
All his studio sessions, there's a book out about it. Just came out. It's wonderful. When I went to Nashville, they basically, Paul Allen handed me the book.
Uh-huh.
The guitar player from Big and Rich, he handed me the book. He said, well, this is something you need to read.
Do you know what the book is called? Off chance?
Something like Jimi Hendrix, all the recording sessions, something simple.
So your influences you've listed there, I would say, because that was the reason I asked Paul, is that was one of the biggest, the most requested questions, because I put a little poll out across social media when I found out I was going to be able to talk to you for some time.
Well, there's another one. What about James Brown? And Popcorn was the theme song of the radio in Annapolis on WANN.
Well, when I think James Brown, I think something like this. That's like my James Brown line.
What's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing. We just said that in unison. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Music is Win podcast so far. I know I am. I want to take a short break to tell you about the sponsor of the show, Audio Blocks, where you can get unlimited downloads from over 100,000 studio quality audio clips, loops, music tracks, and sound effects with a subscription. All the content is royalty free, so you can use it for commercial and personal projects, and new clips are added regularly, so there's always something fresh to download. Guess what? I'm going to give you 7 days free of Audio Blocks, so you can try it out and explore their massive audio library for free. So head on over to audioblocks.com/musiciswin. That's Audioblocks, audioblocks.com/musiciswin to sign up for a free 7-day trial and get all the stock audio you can imagine. And now, back to Paul. So I have another question for you, Paul. And this is actually, I have to thank you for making such cool inlays on your guitars, because I think one of the first things that I had to do when I was trying to figure out how to break into YouTube was, how am I going to stand out? And I think using your guitars as kind of, it wasn't a branding move, but it was just like, people have other styles of guitars and they all kind of blend together after a while, but pushing out these guitars, especially the inlays and just the kind of PRS shape and vibe to them, I think has been really instrumental for recognition on my side. And a lot of people want to know what the story is about the bird inlays.
My mother was a bird watcher. That's easy.
Oh, really?
So I never thought about it. Yeah, when we used to go to the Smithsonian Institution, downtown D.C., they used to rent records, and you could rent birdsong records. And my mother would take them out of the record library, just like you take a book out of the library, and we go home and listen to them. I didn't even thought about it. It was just the way it was. My mother was a bird watcher, and it was deeply ingrained in us. I never even thought about it. What surprised the shit out of me was that everybody wanted birds on their guitar. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought the moons would be 3/4 of the orders, and once in a while somebody would want the bird inlays. I had no idea that was going to catch on. And my phone is loaded with pictures of people that have tattooed them on themselves. The only way I can honor it when I'm at a clinic is somebody pulls their arm out, it's full of birds. Well, don't move. And I start taking pictures. I mean, what else can I do?
That's really cool.
It's an honor what they're doing. It's just, I mean, I never thought, especially the hollow birds, the jaybirds, people love them, man. They're tattooing them all over their bodies. I don't have a tattoo, but it's a thing especially with the younger generation. It's very part of the culture.
What's the weirdest place you've seen one of your bird inlays tattooed?
Right down the middle of somebody's back.
Like a big one? How big are we talking?
No, the whole string of them right down this woman's back.
Wow.
It's on our website.
So I have a couple of other questions from people here. Christopher wants to know, where does the inspiration for some of your more diverse models come from? So I consider the Custom 24 like the staple PRS. But what about guitars like the Mira, Starla, Vela? Where do you get those ideas? Do you draw?
The Vela came from Jim Cullen, who's our head of sales here in the U.S. He was driving that bus. He thought there was something there. And when we did the reclaimed wood ones, they really got a mark into the industry with the reclaimed wood. The custom was what I started with a long time ago. 594s were selling as many customs for 594s as we are customs now, so that's going very well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a Chris Robertson sitting here. Chris is a great player. He's so proud of this. He's just coming unglued that he's got this guitar out.
So that one you just mentioned, that's one of the new SEs, right?
Yes. Well, no, it's an SE. You're right, yeah. Problem with it is it's so nice. It looks like a core guitar. It looks like, this guitar looks like it was made in here in Maryland. It's just stunning guitar. I'm looking at it going, it's almost hard for me to believe it's an SE. It's great. He's happy. Here, I'll plug the guitar in. Look, I haven't plugged this guitar in. I'll do it right in front of you, right?
All right, let's do it. I'm looking right now at the new SE. I see the multi-foil here. I see the 7.
Listen, I've got it off, and listen.
That baby's ringing.
This is a good sounding guitar. There's nothing wrong with that. Right out of the box.
Can you tell me a little bit about that guitar in your hands? What does it mean to you, first of all?
It means that somebody got their money's worth. Somebody who likes this guitar, picked it up, and could use it the rest of their life. They got their money's worth. If you could play gigs on this, and you could play in the studio with this, and you could do your job with this, and this guitar is as good or better than anything you own, for the money we're charging for it, we did our job. These are tools to do a job. When the toaster toasts the bread more on one side than the other, it pops out early or it burns it or whatever, the toaster's not doing its job. I want the guitar to do its job.
I like that philosophy. The guitar is just a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. It's a art tool. It's a get out of pain free card tool. If you're sitting on the couch with a guitar you love, you're in no pain when you put it away. There's no hangover. It's a great drug.
I want to put that quote on like a poster or something.
All right, put it on a poster.
All right, I'm going to do that.
However I just said it was probably accurate.
We have it on tape now, so I'll be able to go back and find
I've
it.
said a lot of things on tape I regret, but maybe that one's good.
Hopefully nothing on this
Paul's
podcast.
promoting drugs now. No, I know I'm not.
No. I'll make sure not to snip it out and frame you.
Look, whatever you want to do is fine with me. It's an open season. Don't worry about it.
One of the biggest questions, another one, Paul, that I got was people who are asking about affordability without sacrificing quality, which obviously that's your primary goal with this SE line. You said you couldn't even really tell it difference from like a core model. So what you're telling me is you can get a PRS, an SE model, and feel very, very confident that you didn't waste a dime.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. But in the end, you better decide with your own experience. And by the way, a pedal ain't going to fix a bad sounding guitar. That ain't going to way it works. This whole idea that I'll just buy a pedal and it'll fix it, I just don't buy it. I mean, I like pedals. I have a pedal collection. I like making new sounds. I love the whole thing. But the guitar should ring.
I don't think I've told you what guitar I'm holding. Let's see if your
That's
PRS
not fair.
senses.
That's not fair.
Here, I'm not even going to plug it in. What do you think?
Custom 24 piezo.
Ooh, you got the Custom 24. It's a Floyd, Custom 24 Floyd.
I was close.
You were very close. I was surprised. There was a lot of choices you could have gone there. What guitars do you have next to you from the new SE line other than the Chris Robertson one? Any of them?
There's a zebra wood one sitting here.
Ooh, yeah. Can you pick that one up?
Ooh, I like the ooh yeah part.
What's the story with this zebra wood? What does that mean? What does that mean to somebody who doesn't?
It's the name of the wood when they cut the tree and dry it. They call it zebra wood. It could have been called powwow wood. I don't know. It's a beautiful guitar. This is a good sounding guitar and it plays good. So what do I think about it? It feels like a guitar I could play at a gig. To me, does it play? Does it make a sound? Does it feel nice? If I plugged it in, could I play music? Would it be anything sharp hurting me when I was strumming it? Does it sustain? There's your flat 5.
There we go.
Major 7th. Flat 6. Flat 7. That would be major 7th again. I'm sorry, the guitar makes a noise. I like it.
Now, Paul, the way you were talking out loud, is that how you think about playing guitar in your head? Like when you're
I was thinking, this is a tune I just wrote that sounds like something out of a Kill Bill kind of spaghetti western thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking melody.
I hear you.
But when I wrote it, I thought, well, let's go to the flat 5. I did think that.
Okay.
But it wasn't all numbers. I was listening to the sound of it. But trying to figure out how to go. I knew I was going to the major 7th against a minor A. I knew I was going there.
How did you learn music theory? Was it just picked up off the cuff?
By complete learning it from other musicians. My wife is calling, and I love her very much. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hi, Paigey. Can I call you back? That's my wife, everybody. She's the best. There
Behind
you
every
go.
great man is an even better woman, right?
Look, I have a rule. I take messages from my wife and kids no matter what I'm doing.
That's a fine rule with me. So you were talking about music theory. You picked it up off of
Other
bandmates,
musicians.
or
Picked it up being taught. Picked it up from wanting to be in the club and be a musician. I was taught it in school, but it never sunk in until I got taught by the other musicians.
right, learning by doing.
Learning by getting taught. I had a guitar teacher. Look, I'll give you an example, okay?
Okay.
I was working on a G chord. And I spent 4 hours trying to find out what the right G chord was for the tune. And I couldn't find the note. And I called my guitar teacher, Ralph, and I said, I can't find that. And he says, Paul, there are only 12, try them all. So it's G with this note in it. It's this note, that note, this note, that note, the suspended note, flat 5, 5, flat 6, 7, 6, 7, major 7th. I found the note within a minute. There's only 12, try them all.
Pretty good approach, I think. So are you playing your guitar right now with no volume on the amp?
I'm not plugged in.
Yeah. See, this is something that's interesting about you, Paul, that I've noticed. You really kind of feel the guitar, and it's especially interesting that it's an electric guitar. Is that a conscious effort, or is that how you analyze the sound?
I don't think you can play beautifully distorted unless you can play beautifully clean. So I'll give you an example, okay?
Okay.
Here, let me just plug this guitar that's sitting here in, and I'll make the amp really distorted, and I'll show you the difference, okay?
Gotcha.
So if I'm going to go... I'm doing exactly the same thing. When I learned all these guitar licks, when I was learning them when I was young, I did it clean as a whistle without an amp. I was sitting in front of the record player without an amp trying to learn the part. If you can't play it without an amp, you can't play it because the amp doesn't fix anything. The amp will make it worse, actually.
Let me see if I can put that into practice. Let me try it. Hey, you're right. You can't actually hide behind anything if you can't play it.
You gotta play it. You gotta play it right.
So Paul, what you're telling me is there's no plans to create any kind of talent simulator stomp box from PRS in the future?
I want to say something so smart ass to that, and I can't find it. So
Come on.
I'll have to go through all my
I'm
12
setting you
notes
up.
and
Knock it
find
out of the
answer.
park.
Look, I saw Jimi Herring play last night. At one point, the band stopped, and his meter was unbelievable. And I was just like, wow. I turned to somebody and said, listen to his meter. And the guy next to me said, wow, because he didn't need the drummer. It was perfect time without the drummer. That's important.
Well, Paul, you told me, I don't know if you remember the last time we met at NAMM, you told me the most important pieces of music are rhythm, harmony, and melody, but by far rhythm is the foundation that if you
I agree.
don't have the other two.
You take somebody who knows melody and harmony with bad rhythm, they don't work. You take somebody with good rhythm and good harmony, no melody, they work.
I think that's exactly how you said it in the last video.
Yeah. Well, so at least I'm consistent.
Hopefully, I'll get to see you at NAMM in winter, and I'll be at the PRS event next summer.
I've really enjoyed this today. I hope that your viewers enjoy this thing. I hope that I've been some sort of lightning rod for some new thought. Look, in the end, I'm just being me. I'm just saying what I think. It's stream of consciousness for me. But in the end, I do very much care that the guitars are right and people are treated well. Those things I think are important.
Well, thanks for being you, Paul, because you make some kick-ass guitars.
It's not just me. There's 260 of us here.
You and the other 260 awesome people over there at PRS.
Goodbye.
Later.
Thank you very much. See ya.
See you later, man. Thank you. Well, there you have it, the definitive Paul Reed Smith interview, if I do say so myself. Thank you so much for listening and or watching. You can find the Music is Win podcast on iTunes or, of course, on my YouTube channel in video format. I'd like to thank Paul for taking some time to chat with me, and thanks a lot to Gene, Hunter, and Andrew from PRS for making the whole thing happen. Make sure you guys check out prsguitars.com for all your tonal aspirations regarding the guitar. I am obviously a huge fan of PRS, but I feel obligated to tell you this was not any kind of paid interview or any kind of advertisement. This was just a couple dudes talking about music and guitars. So I hope you enjoyed it. Again, thank you so much for listening and subscribing to the Music is Win podcast. And I'll see you next Monday.